In today's show, Damian Lillard gets a triple-double, and the Blazers make a trade. It was a busy night for the Pinwheels. Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazer reporter, Mike Richmond. You are listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen every single weekday. Coming at you Monday through Friday, available on all platforms, free wherever you're looking for us. So make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. It's Locked On Blazers, your team every day. Fun show for you today. Blazers traded Josh Hart to the New York Knicks in exchange for Cam Reddish and a protected first-round pick. Damian Lillard had a triple-double. Blazers got a really nice win over the Golden State Warriors, and a couple other trades happened around the league that I think will have an impact on who the Blazers aren't getting and where they aren't maybe sending a certain tall person on their roster. So let's get into it. This is a really fun show. We're gonna go game first. We usually go game first. We'll game first. Hart trade in the second segment. We'll close the show talking about the other stuff that happened around the league. Russell Westbrook, gone from Los Angeles. We'll close the show talking about the big news of the day in the league. But let us do what we do. The Blazers, 125-122, a victory over the Golden State Warriors at home. The Warriors playing without Steph Curry, who's out till after the All-Star break at least. The Blazers playing without Yusuf Nurkic, who's out after the All-Star break at least. And then about 5 minutes before tip-off, starting lineups had already been submitted. The way it works, you got about a half hour before tip-off, you got to officially submit starting lineups. Those of you old enough to remember when the Blazers accidentally left C.J. McCollum off the active roster because you sign a physical piece of paper and submit it for your roster for the night. So lineups have been submitted, and after that, the Blazers agreed to trade Josh Hart to the New York Knicks. So he is a DNP trade pending. I assume he goes home to pack is how that works, out of the arena to go home, and because your life is moving quickly, you now need to you're going to catch a flight tomorrow morning across the country, et cetera, et cetera. Actually, I don't know where the Knicks are. You're going to meet up with the Knicks in whatever location they are, but you're not going to be in Portland tomorrow. You got to pack, you got to leave, and then figure it out from there. So Gary Payton gets the start, and the Blazers actually played really well to open this game. They've had such a stretch of just brutal starts, and they take a lead against the Curryless Warriors 34-27 after one, but the Warriors storm back with a 40-point second quarter to take a 67-63 lead into the break. I thought Portland played really well in the first half. Their defense just couldn't slow down Klay Thompson or Jordan Poole in that opening two quarters. Klay had 20 at halftime, but luckily on the other side, Damian Lillard 18 and 5 assists, like a freaking full-on Chris Paul night. He had Chris Paul's game right there in the first half. 18 and 5. This game's tied 95 all heading into the fourth quarter. Really fun game, really fun game. The Blazers bench plays excellent to begin the fourth quarter. In fact, they extended the lead. They were led by 6 at 2 different points and were up by 4 when Jeremy Grant and Damian Lillard came back in the game. And then the Blazers gave up the lead. They coughed it up from up 4 when the starters check back in. Golden State goes on a little burst to take a 114-110 lead with 5:48 left in the game on a Jordan Poole 3. Down 4, starters back in. You know it's about to be welcome to crunch time. Let's go. What do the Blazers do? They rip off an 11-0 run to basically win the game. Damian Lillard drove, got fouled going up. A little scoop layup. He didn't get his hands were basically above his hips, but he was shooting at the time. But he gets fouled, goes to the line, hits 2 free throws with 1:32 left. The Blazers take a 7-point lead, 121-114. That capped that 11-0 burst. Jordan Poole scores a little bit later, about 45 seconds later, to end a 5-minute and 2-second scoreless drought for the Warriors. And the Blazers, they just, the 11-0 run, the Poole scores, they get a bucket. Nazir Little gets a dunk inside, 13-2 to maintain that 7-point lead. That's your difference. You hold on, and the Blazers hold on and win 125-122. You will note Portland scored more than 115, so they won the game. That's the magic number. That's your fastest recap in the West. Damian Lillard, his second ever triple-double, second ever in his career triple-double. 33 points, 10 boards, 11 assists. 22 from Jeremy Grant after 4 straight games scoring under 20. He scores 22. Anthony Simons, a quiet night a quiet night offensively, shooting the ball. He was 4 of 12 from the floor and finished with 11 points. Drew Eubanks had 10. Gary Payton had 9 in that starting role. He played 22 minutes as the starter. But the reason the Blazers won this game is because the bench was awesome. 4 guys played off the bench: Shaedon Sharpe, Trendon Watford, Nazir Little, and Jabari Walker. That is 2 rookies, a second-year undrafted guy, and fourth year, first round pick, fourth year wing Nazir Little. Those 4 gentlemen combined for 40 points on 16 of 23 shooting. That's basically the difference in this game. Dante DiVincenzo came off the bench and had 18 for the Warriors. They got a nice boost from him. And Jordan Poole had 38 and 7 assists. He was really good. 31 from Klay Thompson, just 11 in the second half. 18 from Andrew Wiggins. But Portland won this game because the bench was so good and because it got to the free throw line. 32 free throw attempts for the Blazers, just 10 for the Warriors. All year long, the Warriors have had a massive free throw disparity. It's just kind of who they are. I don't know if it's still this way, but early on, like through the middle of December, they shot the fewest free throws in the league and they allowed the most. They've been right in sort of in the polls all year long. They are a low free throw attempt team, and they are a group that fouls a bunch. Plus 22 at the free throw line helped the Blazers overcome a night where they shot just 8 of 27 from 3. It was the first game all year long where they'd won a game where they did not make 10 3-pointers. Shout out to Lamar Hurd for that stat on the broadcast. 8 of 27 from 3, and you get the win. That's 29.6%. Round up to say 30% from 3. On the other side, 21 of 49 from 3. The Warriors shoot 43% from 3 and make 23s, and the Blazers still somehow find a way to win because of those free throws and because they were really good. Really good on the glass. Dame 10 rebounds, Shaedon Sharpe 7 rebounds, Trendon Watford 8 boards. You get a 47-32, a plus 15 rebound margin. It helps you overcome the fact that you turned the ball over 21 times. The Blazers won a game where they shot 30% from 3 and committed 21 turnovers. They won a game where Dame was 1 of 7 from 3, where Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, and Jeremy Grant combined to go 3 of 18 from 3, and they won the basketball game. It's because Shaedon Sharpe was great, 13.7 boards. It's because Trendon Watford was awesome. They closed the game with Dame, Ant, Nazir Little, Trendon Watford, and Jeremy Grant. Nazir deserved the minutes. He finished with 9 points and 5 boards. It's good to see him bounce back and actually play some real minutes. 13 for Sharpe, 8 points, 8 boards, 5 assists for Trendon Watford doing what he does. He is just so good in 4-on-3 situations. On a night where Dame has it going, which at this point is virtually all of the nights, he's prolific, right? He's going to draw a double team. Having Trendon in there to be your fast decision maker out of double teams is really valuable. He's pretty clearly needs to be in that role with a spaced out lineup. I think we've seen enough to know that he's not a 3 or a 4 wing. He's a weird 5. This is the role I thought he was going to play all year, and now that he's kind of they kind of back their way into it because they have no other way to play. This is the necessity, the mother of invention. But I think it's really going to. I think it could be really good for the Blazers. And the name I haven't mentioned is Jabari Walker. 10 points in just 6 minutes and 45 seconds. Under 7 minutes, 10 points, 3 of 3 shooting. He made his free throws. He hit a 3-pointer. I thought he was pretty good on defense as well, making active plays and getting on the glass and just like being an effective player, like being a positive NBA contributor, like on both ends of the court. He was really good. He was really good to begin that fourth quarter on the court to help the Blazers build a lead that they eventually gave away with their starters back on the floor. But he was really good. And why I mentioned that the invention as necessity as the mother of invention. There's an idiom that maybe I won't try to say again on the podcast because that one really gave me some trouble. But the necessity is that the Blazers didn't have Josh Hart, so you got to play Gary Payton. Gary Payton was not good in this game, so they yanked him and they played Nazir Little down the stretch. But because you're playing Nazir Little more minutes and because you're missing, because you're missing Yusuf Nurkic and you got to play, you want to play Trendon Watford a whole bunch of minutes. There are minutes to be had in the back half of the rotation. Jabari Walker slid into those minutes that would have been bench minutes for Peyton or Nazir if Josh Hart had played his typical complement. He played really well. Shaedon Sharpe stepped into, he didn't play like significantly more minutes than he's been playing, but he played really well. Trendon Watford played 30 minutes because the small ball unit was really cooking on offense. I thought it worked really well, and they were still switching everything. They would have switched everything with Drew Eubanks in there anyways, but it wouldn't have been as effective because Drew's better on defense, just like straight up all around. But in terms of like foot speed, I think Trendon is aggressive on. He's better like running around on defense than he is than he is trying to be a rim protector. So the switching really helps. Like this was, if the Blazers made a trade, we're going to talk about that in the second segment. But there's minutes to be had for Nazir Little. There's minutes to be had for Shaedon Sharpe, and if the Blazers don't add another big, which they kind of have to, right? In some way, somehow, there's minutes for Trendon Watford to continue to be this small ball menace. I don't know if it's perfect or anything, but tonight it worked against a team that doesn't punish you being big, that didn't punish the Blazers on the glass, and Portland got a really nice win even against the Curryless Warriors. Okay, let's talk about the trade. Josh Hart traded 5 minutes before this game started. He's headed to New York. Ryan Arcidiacono, Svi Mykhailiuk, and Cam Reddish coming back this way. Let's talk about what the Blazers did. But first, I want to tell you that this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the largest sports book in America, and if you are a first-time FanDuel user, that's just great news because they've got so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. They'll let you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a first touchdown. And right now, if you download FanDuel, you can bet on Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet, and you'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your bet doesn't win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, super easy to use. Best of all, you get paid your winnings instantly. So, join today at FanDuel.com/LockedOn to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right. The Blazers made a trade. They made a trade. Full disclosure, I was going to lead with this, and then Damian Lillard had a friggin' triple-double, 33, 10, and 11, and the Blazers get a nice win, and it's like, yeah, let's talk about the basketball game first, but let's talk about the trade. Right before tip-off, Josh Hart officially is not what's happened yet because the team hasn't announced it. In fact, on the broadcast, they have to do this weird thing where they say Adrian Wojnarowski apparently reports and Josh Hart is gone. It's like, it's just a strange, it's strange to work for an NBA team. You kind of have to play that game. I mean, Josh Hart headed to the Knicks. The Blazers in return get point guard Ryan Arcidiacono. They get shooter wings Svi Mykhailiuk, and they get the sort of the headliner of the deal, former top 10 overall pick Cam Reddish, a 6'8" wing. He's more 3 than 4, but wingy type. A 6'8", in theory, 3-and-D shooter from the Knicks. The Blazers also get, and this is a big one, they also get a 2023 pick from the Knicks. That's this coming summer's draft. That's lotto protected. If the Knicks make the playoffs, the Blazers get their pick, which will be that's top 14 protected, so it'll be 15 and above. Right now, the Knicks are in 7th place, and the bottom of the East is kind of doo-doo compared to the Knicks. I guess the Hawks aren't totally doo-doo, semi-doo-doo Hawks. I'm not a big believer in the Chicago Bulls. I think even if the Knicks end up in the play-in tournament, which is totally likely, they're comfortable. I'm pretty comfortable with them making the playoffs. Maybe the Raptors finally get right, but maybe the Raptors also tear it down. I think beyond that, the bottom of the East doesn't scare me too much in terms of the Knicks missing the playoffs. I think they're in. The Blazers are very likely to get a 2023 pick back. If that pick does not convey in 2023, it immediately converts to 4 second-round picks. So the bet is that, like, if the Knicks miss the playoffs, they're hedging a little bit and saying, hey, instead of future first unencumbered, like that are going to be owed to you forever, 4 second-round picks, we'll get our first back and whatever. But both you and I, both Blazers and Knicks both think that the Knickerbockers are going to make the playoffs, and then the Blazers will get a pick, a 2023 draft pick. That is important because the Blazers owe their 23 pick lotto protected to the Bulls. So if the Blazers make the playoffs, the Bulls would get their pick, but Portland would still maintain one. And I guess there's a scenario, relatively realistic scenario, where the Blazers miss the playoffs and the Bulls and the Knicks make the playoffs, and Portland ends up with 2 2023 picks in the top 20, which is real tradable stuff for the summer. That is real meaningful ammunition for the summer. That could come into play. I think we'll dive a little bit deeper on the I'll say this. I have a friend who's a big Bulls fan, and I don't know, a couple years ago when Ryan Arcidiacono was still on the Bulls, he was very, very certain, very, very certain that Arch was like a good NBA point guard. And he was sending me stats and all this is a funny thing we text about relatively regularly. Yeah, I don't think he's been that, but I think he's, backup ball handler. I don't think he's gonna play or factor in, and we'll see. Svi Mihalik is a dude who can shoot it but can't do much else, and I think he's bounced around the league because he has that shooting abilities, and kind of like enough wingy size to fake it, but just hasn't stuck anywhere because he doesn't have quite enough. The Lakers, the Pistons, the Raptors, now the Knicks. He's one of those guys that's just right on the cusp, right? Cam Reddish is the highlight of this trade. Cam Reddish is coming out of Duke. He was a super highly recruited high school kid. Spent a year at Duke. He's the RJ Barrett, Zion Williamson class, I believe, and he is. He comes out, as highly touted, top 10 pick of the Hawks, and he just hasn't. The shooting never really translated to the league. His third year in the league, he shot a little better, 37% from three, but he hasn't ever shot the three ball with real consistency over a season. Early on in his career, though, he looked like he was going to be a very impactful defender. His second season in the league, it was oh yeah, this dude's going to put he doesn't have defense was the thing that was going to get him on the court and make him a player, right? He was going to be the guy that kind of figured it out. Then the Hawks kind of got a little too crowded with too many wings. They had to make a decision. They get a first round pick for kind of giving up on someone who wasn't going to figure into their plans in any super meaningful way. And Cam Reddish heads to the Knicks, and he just never found real playing time. Him and Tibbs, for whatever reason, it didn't work out, and he never, he's appeared in 20 games this year. He never earned Tom Thibodeau's trust, and now he's moving on to his third team, still on his rookie deal. In general, I think it is worth taking a flyer on kids who are really, still on your rookie contract, under 23. At 17, they thought you were going to be a phenom. You're 6'8". You've got a lot of physical tools to be exactly what the Blazers need, and it's relatively low risk. You're flipping Josh Hart for a flyer on Cam Reddish and a first-round pick in 2023. I think this is a good trade. I do not think it makes the Blazers better. I will be totally upfront about this. I like to be honest about my opinions, even when my opinions are destined to be wrong. I don't think Cam Reddish is very good. He might be better, and he might, change of scenery can really help guys. He wouldn't be the first dude to be traded a couple times on his rookie deal to kind of figure it out at another stop. Shout out to Lauri Markkanen, right? It's possible that Portland is the right spot for him, and that Dame just, what is the phrase he always uses? He pours into him. Dame just pours into him, to use a Lillard phrase, and Cam Reddish is so full with the confidence of the letter O's inclusive leadership that he rises up and becomes the 3-and-D answer. But yeah, I don't think he's very good. So if he does, I'll be wrong about it, and I'm comfortable with that. What this is that Josh Hart was walking into free agency. You get a chance to have Cam Reddish's bird rights, who's going to be a lot cheaper. The Blazers in the near term save themselves $3 million, so they were right up against the salary cap, $67,000 away. They're now $3.2 million. Not the luxury tax line. They're way above the cap. The luxury tax line. They're not going to be a tax team this year. They were $70,000 from the tax line. Now they're $3.5 million, $3.2 million away from the tax line. That is meaningful for them. Reddish might work. The pick is really nice. I think getting a first-round pick, even if it's 19th or whatever it might be, probably won't be much lower than that. But or higher than that rather. Lower, I guess, is the direction, higher number. Won't be much deeper into the draft than that. I think that's pretty good. Josh Hart is a really fun player, and I'll miss him. One of America's great facemakers, one of the great facemakers in the league. I hope he ends up with the Knicks and plays in the playoffs and makes fun faces at the highest level. In an opening round series against the Celtics or whatever, or the Sixers. Like, yeah, give it to me. It'd be super fun. I enjoy watching Josh Hart. I enjoyed his time here. It just... the writing was on the wall that he was going to go the writing was on the wall to begin with because of his contract situation. And then when the shooting stuff, just him not taking 3-pointers and then him like taking 3-pointers more often over the last, after it's like, he clearly had a conversation with the coaching staff about please shoot it, missing 3-pointers, like the 3-point shooting just totally falling away. Yeah. Like it was the writing was on the wall that they weren't going to see if it worked out with Hart, that they were going to get what they could get for him. It was just incredibly obvious. But like, he was still good. In fact, some of the advanced stats still suggest that Josh Hart was like the Blazers' third best player this year. I don't think that, to be clear. I would think he's more like their fifth best player. But yeah, like he was whatever 538's Raptor numbers and then like EPM really like Josh. But for me, like, I just enjoyed him. I enjoyed the way he plays, how hard he plays. I love the rebounding. It didn't work out here, and he lasted trade deadline to trade deadline, and he'll move on like Norman Powell before him, without getting $90 million in between. So best of luck to Josh Hart. I will miss watching you. Here's the thing. The Blazers are not done because they can't be done. They have too many players on the roster. They got 16 players. They got to get down. The Blazers had one empty roster spot. They took back, made a 3-for-1 trade. This is that magical flexibility, right? They make the math work. This math keeping that roster spot open allows them to save some money, allows them to make these unbalanced 3-for-1 trades. But they gotta waive somebody, or they need to create another trade, expand this trade and add another team, or reroute someone on the way there and make it a separate trade. But they're not done because it can't be done. They literally can't complete this trade without doing something else. So they're not finished. What's next, you might ask? Well, let's talk about what can't be on the table. One of those people is Jared Vanderbilt. If he was still on the table, still a possibility, he's now headed to the Lakers. So let's talk about let's look around the league, the other big moves that have happened tonight, and talk about what might be next for your Portland Trailblazers. So let's do that to close the show. Join me in the third segment, won't ya? Still a pass first point guard. Still Mike Richmond. You are still listening to Locked On Blazers. And guess what? The NBA trade deadline is tomorrow, and Locked On has you covered. It's actually today. You're listening to Thursday, February 9th show. The trade deadline is like right stinking now. So tune into the Locked On NBA YouTube channel at 2 p.m. Eastern, beginning at 2 p.m. Eastern, to hear reaction from the trades that will change the rest of the NBA season. Who becomes contenders? Who's tanking for a better future? Subscribe to Locked On NBA on YouTube so you do not miss a deal. It's going to be a ton of fun. Look, Locked On can do this in a way that really no one else can. We've got covering every team in the league on a daily basis with folks who are on the ground everywhere. So tune in, subscribe to the NBA's YouTube channel, and make it happen. Okay, some trades that happened around the league. Jared Vanderbilt. He's not going to be a Blazer. All the reporting kind of suggested that the Blazers were in the lead for him, and I even joked on this podcast a couple times, future Trailblazer Jared Vanderbilt, and isn't that always the kiss of death when you start saying things with a little bit of confidence? I don't know even if I believe that when I was saying it, but I like to have a little fun, and I was kind of like, hey, the Jazz, it's going to be, the Jazz are going to want more for Jared Vanderbilt, and I pitched a trade that was a little bit more, and then all the reporting, the public reporting from Michael Scotto and Jake Fisher and Matt Moore was like, actually, and Tony Jones of The Athletic, it's like, actually, no, looks like they might be a little bit less, and it looks like Portland is the most likely landing spot. So then it's like, okay, just kidding, I was wrong. Guess what? I was wrong in both directions, baby. That's wrong twice about the same dude. I don't think... it's pretty hard to pull off. Wrong twice about the same dude. Jared Vanderbilt heading to the Los Angeles Lakers in the big trade of the day. The Utah Jazz acquire Russell Westbrook and a 2027 first-round pick in a 3-team trade that sends D'Angelo Russell to the Los Angeles Lakers along with Jared Vanderbilt and Malik Beasley, and the Minnesota Timberwolves, the third team involved there. Hence, D'Angelo Russell are acquiring Mike Conley from the Utah Jazz in addition to a second-round pick. This is a big deal just for the basic reasons. The Blazers have been linked to Jared Vanderbilt for many months because Damian Lillard has openly said, that's the dude I want to play with. Then all the reporting earlier this week was like, the Blazers seem to be in hot pursuit of Jared Vanderbilt and perhaps the leader in the clubhouse, offering a couple second-round picks. It wasn't specifically the Blazers are offering second-round picks, but I was parsing the tea leaves a little bit there that one Western Conference team offering second-round picks, Blazers interested, no first-round picks, seemed like it was obviously them. But the Jazz found their first-round pick. They had to include other assets to do it, but they get a 2027 pick from the Lakers that's top 4 protected rather. And if it's not top 4 protected, it immediately becomes a second rounder, which allows the Lakers to trade a future pick. Funny how not protecting your picks super far down the line allows you to trade more draft picks. Wouldn't that be valuable? Also would have been valuable if the Blazers had just not sucked last year and made the playoffs. They would have all their picks to trade, but that's neither here nor there. Russell Westbrook headed to the Jazz, reportedly will probably be bought out by the Jazz. And landing spots could be the Los Angeles Clippers or the Bulls. It would be so funny if Russ becomes a Clipper. Definitely the funniest destination is him ending up a Clipper at the end of this. I think that seems to be a fairly likely landing spot. Pretty funny for him. The Jazz get their pick. That 2027 first-round pick from the Lakers conceivably could have real value. Could be no more LeBron because he'll be playing with the Portland Trailblazers and his son, Bronny James. So could be really valuable. Lakers, I think they did really well here. I really do. D'Angelo Russell, take it or leave it. But like they needed the shooting and some pick and roll creation. He'll help them. Jared Vanderbilt they just needed more. They needed some more bigger rebounder wing types. They have so many guards. Anyone else who can just like play some forward in the league, even some, whatever position you think he plays next to Anthony Davis, but like another big guy. And the Lakers desperately needed shooting. Malik Beasley's like pretty good. Like really good shooter, but so I think they did pretty well here. I really do. I think they did pretty well here. I still kind of think the Lakers are very likely to miss the playoffs. I think they're talented enough to like win a playoff series, but I think they're fairly likely to miss the playoffs entirely. They're 13th and they just lost to the 12th place team last night. They're not in a good spot, even if they upgraded the roster. I'm not 100% sure the Lakers, while they are better than they were, are a playoff team. I think they're in trouble. They're in trouble. The thing is, the Jazz, after trading Vanderbilt and trading Beasley and trading Conley, they're going to get worse. They might really tumble a little bit. And the Wolves, I get why they traded for Conley. D'Lo was going to walk, and you get Conley for a couple seasons. He's pretty good at getting the ducks in a row. He's a good sort of organizer, adult in the room type of thing. Like when he's played, the Jazz have been good because he gets guys the ball where they need to and kind of keeps things. He's just like a vet. He's a vet, and he's obviously was really good, but now he's 34, and like time catches up with all of us. So I kind of get it for the Wolves, but I don't love it. I don't love it for them, but I don't think it's like awful. I just, I'm not super excited about it on their behalf. Conley will help them though. No doubt about it. I think the news here is like the Lakers got better. They're a team chasing the Blazers for one of the last play-in spots. The Jazz got worse, and probably worse intentionally so. They might be a team heading in the other direction, slipping out of that play-in race. I think that's good news for the Blazers. And the Wolves are, they're a team that is like very much in the hunt for getting home court advantage, and they kind of either move laterally or slightly upgraded in terms of fit because of Conley's spot-up shooting ability and like less sort of prone to bouts of being really awful, as D'Angelo has some real peaks and real valleys. So I think that matters, and I think it means the Blazers aren't in pursuit of Jared Vanderbilt any longer, which means that they've got to set their sights other places. The other thing that's impacted the Blazers here for, they still got to do something because they literally can't complete this trade without either waiving someone, which I believe they can waive, Mihalik and not go up against the luxury tax line. But you're going to obviously try to reroutes and get, either a fake second round pick, even if nothing else. But there has been some scuttlebutt, mostly in my email. Mostly people sending the email to lockedonblazerspod@gmail.com about the Raptors, a team that had been rumored to be in the market for a center upgrade, being a possible landing spot for Jusuf Nurkic. The Raptors, as I'm recording this, have acquired Jakob Poeltl for in exchange for Khem Birch, a 2024 first-round pick, and a couple second-rounders. It's I think it was always going to be sort of a long shot that Nurk ended up there, and now that's off the table. So like I don't even know what this means for the Raptors. Why I'm laughing? It's like could I analyze this? Yeah, like I don't know. The team's a mess. They keep adding players that I think are good. I think their roster's good. At least their top 5 or 6 are good. But mostly this is about where Nurk isn't going to land. The Blazers have been reportedly trying to shop Jusuf Nurkic and Josh Hart. Josh Hart's already moved. I've been speculating here, just kind of without any sourcing, but speculating here. It's going to be really hard to trade Nurk. If the Raptors were, one of the landing spots for him, it seems like already pretty tough needle to thread. I'm having trouble seeing the Blazers make it happen, but they got to do something, and certainly they will try to. And I think for the most part, Joe Cronin did well in day one. I don't think the Blazers are better. I think the Blazers are worse, but it also means more minutes for Nazir Little, who could step into a bigger role, more minutes for Shaedon Sharpe, who could step into a bigger role, and maybe forcing the coach to play Nazir Little is the way that Naz kind of steps into that starter role that many of us thought that he could really take on and seize. I think, I think day one of the Blazers making moves went pretty well. I think day two, a target's off the board and a landing spot for their other spots. One of their other sort of trade away type guys is off the board. So now it's where will they go? I think we will see, and a bunch of fireworks are very likely to happen. In fact, I was checking my Twitter feed here to make sure like nothing else happened, right? Luckily it didn't. As I look away really quickly, nothing else happened, but a bunch of other stuff is going to happen. And tomorrow's show, the trade deadline is Thursday at noon Pacific time. Tomorrow's show, we'll recap everything that happened. We'll talk about the Blazers and where they stand after they finalize their roster moves. Come back to the show for more. Tell your friends to do the same. Don't miss the Locked On NBA YouTube show. We'll be live there, hanging out, talking trades, myself and a bunch of other hosts from the Locked On Podcast Network. Check it out. Tell your friends. I appreciate you listening. I'll talk to you soon. Wait, as the intro played, Kevin Durant just got traded to the Suns. Unbelievable. I just finished the dang podcast. Well, I guess we got something to talk about tomorrow. There's another big target off the board. I real appreciate you listening. KD to the Suns. Can you stinking believe it? Go listen to Locked On Suns. Go listen to Locked On Nets. Find out the deal. I guess he's not going to be a Trailblazer. Okay, now we're playing the outro again, and this time I'm not coming back. Bye.